we're working through the Sermon on the Mount with Jesus, so it's not too hard to figure out kind of where we're landing next, and especially this week because I posted something in the Facebook. So hopefully, when I can't specifically answer each question individually, hopefully the content of what we share will cover any of the questions and thoughts you had. If not, continue the post in Facebook, or just ask me in person. That's the real face. Anyway, Matthew chapter 6 is where we are, and we're going to start in verse 16. It says, this is Jesus speaking. It's right after the Lord's Prayer. And it says, and when you fast, don't make it obvious as the hypocrites do, for they try to look miserable and disheveled, so people will admire them for their fasting. I tell you the truth, that is the only reward they will ever get. But when you fast, comb your hair, wash your face, then no one will notice that you are fasting except your Father, who knows what you do in private, and your Father who sees everything will reward you. Now, fasting was, in ancient Judaism, one of the big three. These are the practices that people did to kind of say, I'm a righteous person. And there was almsgiving, which we covered, and you notice this whole section covers these big three. If you look at sometimes we kind of get stuck on like little sections of this, but if you kind of open up, read the whole thing, I'd challenge you, read the Sermon on the Mount in its entirety every day as we work through this. And fasting is one of the big things. Almsgiving. There were no government programs. There's no way for people to get benefits or anything. And so getting alms from people was this big thing. And then prayer, which we had for a couple of weeks covered the Lord's Prayer, right? It took us a little bit of time. You didn't think there was so much material on that one little prayer, did you? You're like, man, that guy's never going to get done with the Lord's Prayer. If you prayed as long as I preached about it, it would be like a 4 to 5 hour prayer for you. And see, you'd finally, reach the holiness level of time. I think you kind of miss and praying, fasting, giving. These are in this whole section. These are the spiritual disciplines, if you will. These practices that Jesus talks about and addresses here. Now, if we're honest, this is my experience with a lot of people. And I'm looking at you, but not because it's you, but I need to look at somebody, and I don't want to get awkward for her, and now it's awkward for her. Now I'll just look over at the 10:10 section at one of you. Now everyone's like, wait, is he looking at me? And Justin's like, I don't care, you can look at me. And so, a lot of people were good at maybe one or two, or maybe not, but maybe we struggle with being all three. I have people who are like, they're kind of like, they're designated hitters. I'm not a big baseball fan, but I like the sport a little bit. I don't really understand the concept of the designated hitter, except that basically their job is just to hit the ball. And I'm like, they have one job. They just get in, hit, then like somebody else runs for them even. I mean, like, that's a great job. Like, you only have to do one thing. It'd be like, I don't know, stamping papers at work. I only stamp the date. Someone else does the job. And we're good sometimes at one aspect of these, but maybe not the other. I had people who say, I love to pray. Well, do you fast or do you give? Well, maybe not. I love to pray and fast. Well, do you give? No, not so much. Or I love to give. People are generous givers. Well, do you fast and pray? And I think it's easy for us to kind of land on one and maybe not do all of them. But really, these are all things and ways that we are devoted to God. Now, Jesus says hypocrites. Now, welcome to a church full of hypocrites. You thought we were hypocritical anyway, right? But, the hypocrites, and we've said this before, we get this term from the Greek term for actor, and so you kind of cover your face with a mask. And so the idea is, kind of put on a mask. And what Jesus is getting at is people who act like they're religious, like to get the from people for being all that, but really they're just kind of wearing a mask. They're hiding behind some practices and things, and so they act righteous, but ultimately they really aren't. And Matthew, he captures this. I know it's been a while since we've talked about hypocrisy, because we landed on the Lord's Prayer so long. In Matthew 15:8, Jesus quotes Isaiah, and he says, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. And it's easy to kind of do the things that look spiritual. It's easy to say things that look spiritual. It's easy to kind of fool your friends, but your heart not really be in the right place. And, so a hypocrite deliberately uses religion to cover up their stuff. They kind of act like they got it together. And Jesus is concerned with what's behind the mask. Not just the religious mask we put on and say, I'm this, I'm that, or I do this, or I'm so godly, but what's behind it. What's ultimately in our hearts. And hypocrites tend to do things to be seen. Now, I always have that dilemma when you have the tip jar. Anyone? I think this is for me the essence of hypocrisy. Like, when you get ice cream and there's the tip jar, right? Or you get something and there's the tip jar. And some of you work on tips, I want them to see me put the dollar in. I hate when I pull out $1 or $2 and they turn as I'm putting it in. I'll just hold it until they turn back. Because I want them not to spit my ice cream. I want them not to spit my car. I want credit for tipping if I'm tipping. You know what I mean? And that's really what hypocrisy is. We want religious credit for what we're doing. We want street cred. We want people to think we're well of us. We want people to go, man, Dana, she's so religious. Oh, that's great. Like that. We want to be Lewisy. You had to be there last week. And ultimately, here's the thing. I think a little hypocrisy runs in all of us, but really, the approval of others is worth more than the approval of God. Would you say that's true? It shouldn't be. It got you there. You're like, oh yeah, whatever Jeff said, he's just, amen. That's something to amen. The approval of others is worth more than the approval of God. No. But yes, for a lot of us, in our hearts, sometimes we tend to slip from being like, hey, it's all about Jesus to, hey, it's all about me and I want to look good. It sounds crazy when we say that sentence out loud, right? But do we live that way sometimes? We like praise. I like people to like me. We want likes on Facebook. We want, little heart things on Instagram. We want retweets. I don't even tweet anymore because no one tweets my tweet. It's a lonely thing. There's actually a mental health diagnosis for people who feel sad that their stuff doesn't get liked on social. Yeah, it's happening. Some of you don't get it. That's good. But Jesus said, for they try to look miserable and disheveled so people will admire them for their fasting. Now, this is kind of just a fun little Greek thing for those of you who like Greek stuff. The New Testament was originally written in Greek. We're reading the translation of it. And the ESV says it this way, for they disfigure their faces, that their fasting may be seen by others. It's actually, they take the same Greek word, they put an "a" in front of it, and so it's kind of like they're saying, which makes something kind of negative. Jesus using the same word. He's kind of saying, you try to hide so you can be seen. You try to dishevel yourself so that people notice. It's kind of a tough phrase to fully kind of, it can be translated a couple different ways, but it's kind of like, for me, I was thinking about this, it's like hide and seek. You ever play hide and seek? It's like game on in our house, hide and seek, man. I got some hiding places, I bet we can still play today. When the kids were little, man, we got a tiny little house. It's not very big, right? We are the original tiny house movement. We are just on top of each other. We're like, our family's together because we can't really be in any other room separate. Anyway, so when we play hide and seek, it's a challenge, And so I'd be hiding in the shower, and jumping out, and I'd be like hiding in the closet, believe it or not, behind the closet. But sometimes when you play with little kids, it's like they hide, but they want to be found, right? And that's kind of like, a lot of us aren't hiding it to hide, to win the game. We're hiding it to be seen. Oh, you caught me. Yes, I'm fasting. Try to hide it from you. But, and that's what Jesus is saying. It's like, you trying to shovel your face, you do all this stuff, you're trying to hide, but you're really trying to be seen. Maybe you put your head down, in those days, like, you used oil to kind of slick, I picture like greasers in the 50s slicking back their hair. This is like the way people looked good that day. It's like they're all ashy because they didn't use lotion or something. It's that's what he's talking about. It's in the Bible. And so, people, they try to kind of look not good so they can get the attention for it. And I know none of us are ever that way. And we do this in all kinds of ways, right? Like, we want to wear the right clothes. You go to some churches, you can't wear makeup, but you don't wear it on Sunday, but you wear it on Monday. I don't understand. We pray every morning at 4 a.m. We develop these things that we want to be seen doing. And maybe we'll get to that. But it's easy for our heart to slip, and we start doing things because we want to look good in front of other people. We want other people to think, man, that Jeff guy, he's got it going on. And so, fasting in Judaism was really only on the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. You'll see on the calendar coming up, and you're like, I don't know what a Yom Kippur is. But Jewish fasting, they tended to, fast from everything. Like, so they're not just fasting from food, but the anointing one's head and stuff. But then people exaggerated to get noticed, right? And the Pharisees, they saw, hey, there's this annual fast. We're going to up that. We're going to fast 2 times a week. Because if one's good, let's do a little more. I remember, some of you might remember some of you played in bands that played Guns N' Roses, but I remember, Guns N' Roses, the song Mr. Brownstone, which I found out the lyrics are about something entirely different. But I used to always use I used to a little bit, as the year got more and more, I just keep trying to get a little better than before. Not about good things, but I was kind of like that because I was like, that was me. Like, if I found success in working out and then it translated to doing better in sports, I would lift even more. I like to pick things up. I like to put things down. And then I believe it or not, you look at me, you're like, I bet Jeff was a runner, but I used to be a runner. And I found like, I used to run a couple miles all the time. It's like it gets higher and higher because if a little bit made you better, even more will do better. It's like you can overdo it, and you can be like Anna, running everywhere, and biking everywhere, and some of us just lift weights really fast. But, it's easy to kind of do a lot of things. It's easy, even in spiritual things, to kind of do more and more. And again, it's not bad to do some of these spiritual things, but does our heart become about the feedback we get from other people? Is it like this way to earn our favor, we think, or is it really to have this relationship with God? I think anything can kind of become. So Jesus said back in verse 1, he says, watch out, don't do your deeds publicly to be admired by others, for you will lose the reward from your Father in heaven. To be admired by others. The NIV says, practice your righteousness. Practicing your righteousness. Be careful, I like the message here, be especially careful when you're trying to do good so that you don't make a performance out of it. It might be good theater, but the God who made you won't be applauding. That's pretty good. Wish I wrote that. Ultimately, we want to look good, but, many things can be good or evil depending on our attitude, our motive, and our purpose. And it's easy to become a hypocrite. Trust me. There's times where I really sought God doing certain things, but then it's like at some point you kind of realize I'm not even doing it for the right reason anymore. I just want people to go, man, Jeff, he prays for an hour every morning. Even if I didn't, it was more like just talking to myself for an hour. It's just easy to do that. And I like how Matthew 6, 16 through 18, we're talking about today, translating the message again. It says, when you practice some appetite-denying discipline to better concentrate on God, don't make a production out of it. It might turn you into a small-time celebrity, but it won't make you a saint. If you go into training inwardly, act normal outwardly. Shampoo and comb your hair. Brush your teeth. Wash your face. God doesn't require attention-getting devices. He won't overlook what you're doing. He'll reward you well. You know, it's been said the most important part of a Christian's life is the part that only God sees. We got to be careful we don't do things for show. I saw this week, and I'm sure there's hundreds of articles like this, but I happened to see one. It was funny. It was this girl had this Instagram post about hiking, and she had like the bottle and the water and beautiful trail behind her. Anyone else see this? And it was like her sister totally was like, dude, that's our backyard. Like, stop lying to your followers. And she screenshotted it and everything. And I laughed because, one, Instagram, Facebook, all these things, which I enjoy social media, but we also kind of lie about our lives, right? Like, I know people who, man, you go on their Facebook, their Instagram, they look like they're living the blessed life. I mean, like, another quality caliber of life that you're just like, man, I wish my kids would bake cookies every day, and, hey, mama. But, in reality, their life's not like that at all. But I really do wish that our kids would bake cookies. But, here's the thing. The girl on the Instagram thing, she didn't get the true benefit out of hiking. It didn't, she didn't get the hike, she didn't get the exercise, she didn't get the, this renewal nature. Ultimately, it's just this lame attempt at praise. And hopefully the sisters laughed about it afterwards. Here's the thing. Hypocrisy robs us of the full life we can have in Christian living. That's a part of the problem. We trade money for devotion of the heart. Mere words for true prayer. Reputation for character. And there's all these things that God wants to do in us, and when we live in this false way and we become hypocrites, we miss out on what God has for us. Jesus said, John 10:10, the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy, but I come that he may have life and have it to the full. And so there's so much more. And we miss out. Now, have you ever seen the movie Catch Me If You Can? I hate to refer to a movie because I'm like, I don't know what else is in it. I don't know if you should go watch it or not. Because, I tend to ignore things when you watch a movie and somebody like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of F-bombs in that one. Didn't know. Anyway, I remember the movie Catch Me If You Can. It's a fascinating movie, and it's about Frank Abagnale, who before his 19th birthday successfully performed cons worth millions of dollars. So, hey, let's praise this guy, right? Like, no. But he posed as a Pan Am pilot, as a doctor, as all these things, and he just he talked to talk. So I remember a lot of it focused on, he got on this, get on the airline, and he would always fly on a different airline because they use different airlines to hop from airport to airport, and so he would sit, with them, and he just learned to talk. Whatever airplane they were on, he would say he flew a different one. And so you just and then he'd use it to go different places, and he would steal money by cashing fake checks and all kinds of stuff. But here's the thing, he talked the talk, but he never really lived an authentic life. Then the FBI gave him a job helping him catch people like him. So it's, I don't know. But here's the thing, he never really lived a life, right? He was never really a pilot. He just acted like he was one. He was never really a doctor. He just acted like he was one. And ultimately, he missed out of, I don't know what it's like to fly. I mean, I fly in the plane, but I never fly the plane. Like, I imagine that's really cool. And he missed out on that. I don't know what it's like to be a doctor. I don't operate or medicate. But it's probably pretty cool, some of the things you can do. But he never really gets to operate and really live that out. And when we're a hypocrite, we act one way, but we never really get to live out the truth. We never really get to enjoy the blessings that God has for us. We talk the talk, but we don't live that life. But here's the thing. But is Jesus saying we shouldn't fast? Okay, good. You all got the right answer. Somehow, I don't have to, we're going to end the sermon there then. No, I'm kidding. Some of you are like, hallelujah, amen. Jesus says, and when you fast. So should we fast? Yeah. And generally, there's all kinds of fasting in the Bible. I mean, I could go through every scripture from Genesis, on, and you'd be really excited to hear all those things, right? Not in one sermon, probably. It would be interesting, but maybe not. But Matthew 19, it says this. Sometimes people get this and say, this is why we shouldn't fast. I've actually heard people say, fasting, we don't have to do that. It says, one day the disciples of John the Baptist came to Jesus and asked him, why don't your disciples fast like we do and the Pharisees do? Jesus replied, do the wedding guests mourn while celebrating with the groom? Of course not, but someday the groom will be taken from them and they will fast. Hey, I love weddings. I got one coming up again. I did a couple of y'all's weddings. I love weddings. I get a little dance. You celebrate. It's a lot of fun. There's good food. I'm not fasting. My only fast at the wedding is how fast I can get to that buffet. Can I get an amen? Because it's fun. And so Jesus saying, hey, now's not the time to, because I'm here. But later, it is the time. Now's the time for the party, but the time will come. And so what is fasting? Now, some definitions. Abstaining from something not sinful for a period of time for spiritual benefit. So after that not sinful thing, people are like, I'm going to fast adultery. No, you should just stop doing adultery. Not give it up for a period of time for prayer. Just give it up. So it's we give up something temporarily that we love or need for something more important. Now, is food the only thing we fast? Y'all read the Facebook post. The truth is dropping here. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Some of you just the service got weird. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Now regarding the questions you asked in the letter. So Paul's answering some questions there. Yes, it is good to abstain from sexual relations, but because there is so much sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife, each woman should have her own husband, the woman should fulfill his wife's sexual needs. You didn't think that was in the Bible. I mean, the husband should fulfill his wife's sexual needs, and the wife should fulfill her husband's needs. People go, I didn't know that was in the back. Some of y'all are writing this one down for later. The wife gives authority over the body to her husband, and the husband gives authority over his body to his wife. Do not deprive each other of sexual relations unless you both agree to refrain from sexual intimacy for a limited time so you can give yourselves more completely to prayer. Afterward, come together again. The Bible even talks about fasting sex. So there's all these things that we can, by the way, Paul's talking about fasting sex, as a married couple. Again, there's things we shouldn't do. Some of you are like real glad the kids are in kids' church this week, right? Because you're like, I didn't want to have to explain that. We go PG-13, they're not here. We have appetites for many things. Food. We like food, right? Anyone here not like food? Okay. Just checking, because it's good. You need to get better food. We have sex, entertainment. Anyone ever turn to Netflix before turning to prayer? Yeah, don't lie. The only people who haven't turned to Netflix instead of God is those who don't know how to use Netflix yet. Video games. Nope, no one's ever done video games. Social media. Okay, how many people have done the humble brag of, I'm getting off Facebook so I can devote myself more to prayer? I will give a warning usually before I go on vacation because I don't want to get the, Jeff, why haven't you answered my messages? Because I went on vacation. I like to shut it down for vacation. I like to shut down all social media. I don't even like to I turn my phone off. You're going to have to telegraph me or send smoke signals if you need me and hope I'm up. I'm really not that important anyway. But we like to fast. So, we love to let people know we're fasting. And anyone have that friend who fasts social media once a week for a while? I'm off social media. I'm so tired of this. And everyone likes it. And then they're back on a week later, just checking in, see where everybody is. I'm going off again because I'm so spiritual. I've learned so much in these 3 days. These are all bad things, but this guy named, John said, the human heart is an idol-making factory. And we can take good things and we make them God things, and we all have crazy, busy lives. And so a lot of the things you can even fast are not bad, but they can overtake our lives. And so the discipline of fasting helps us focus on God. Fasting, Jesus, fasted. After his baptism, before his public ministry, we talked about this. I think it was last week. Jesus said, in Mark chapter 4, starting verse 1, then Jesus was led by the Spirit in the wilderness to be tempted there by the devil. For 40 days and 40 nights he fasted and became very hungry. During that time, the devil came to him and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become loaves of bread." Jesus told him, "No, the scriptures say, people do not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." He was fasted and he was fasting. He fasted, he was tempted, and ultimately, Jesus relies on God. And that's a model for us. And, the early church, they prayed, they fasted. In Acts 13, this is, the